there's this one particular scene that finally I was like, yeah.
Oh, let's go. Captain's Pod, Stardate 1710-84.1. Welcome aboard the Starship's Enterprise, and thank you for joining us as we take a brief short leave from the world of Cinemasins to explore the universe of Star Trek. I'm your Captain Ian Whittington, and with me as always, she knows an icosahedron when she sees one. It's Ambassador Deneé.
It's a shape I know so well.
That rhyme was great. Icosahedron when she sees one. That's the new Captain's Pod theme. I've been trying to revamp it for a while.
It's here. The day has arrived. How are you today, Captain?
I'm good. How are you?
Excellent.
Amazing. Something I've neglected to do, and I really wanted to do, but I've neglected to do it, so I want to do it now because I really want to do it. It's a couple of predictions that one of our lovely friends of the show, Wandering Winder, has sent in for this last season of Lower Deck. So I just want to fire some at you and see what you think.
Okay, you're going to have to wait just a second. I accidentally clicked a button, and I'm starting to play Baldur's Gate on accident. One second.
How eager are you? That's amazing.
Okay. All right, I'm done. I did it.
Skipping the show, we're going to play Baldur's Gate. You're just going to listen to us swearing in the background. Okay. Number one, we've got at the end of the series, Captain Freeman and possibly all the other senior officers will be incapacitated and or killed, and the Lower Decks crew will have to take charge.
Wow.
Bold prediction.
Really bold prediction, but I can see that actually happening. So I think that'd be kind of interesting to...
That'd be kind of cool. They will brutally die.
It would definitely be a reason to keep them all together rather than advancing them individually in their career choices.
I don't think they're automatically going to be handed the proverbial keys to the Cerritos just because the crew... I think it's more likely that an existing captain would be moved over.
It depends. It depends on the circumstance. If they're on an adventure, then they would just
Oh, just to finish off the mission. And then you did so well, you get to keep it. That follows the logic of most of the Star Trek movies with Kirk, to be honest.
There you go. I didn't know that, but okay.
At least one guest star from TNG will appear.
Has that happened already?
Oh, yeah, because we've had Riker and we've had Deanna has appeared.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have had it. However, it hasn't happened in season 5. And Wandering Winder predicts Ben, the bartender, which is a great pull. He's in like 2 episodes. He's a really friendly bartender that appears in... Oh, Ben appears in the episode of TNG called Lower Decks. So that would be great if Ben made an appearance as the lower decker of bar people. The second to last episode of the season will end on a cliffhanger with music and possibly blue lettering referencing the end of the Best of Both Worlds Part 1, which is with the Borg. So very specific penultimate episode reference. Yeah, I would like that too.
I would not have enjoyed that prediction if not for the specificity there, because just saying that a 2-part finale is going to have the first part and a cliffhanger is a guarantee.
No, this is going to be a super like specific reference to the Best of Both Worlds. I like that. I wanted to include that at the top of the show because if any of you have any predictions for the final half of the season, which is where I think like the chunky, like juicy things are going to happen, like episodes 5 through 10. I think that's where we're going to be really hammered with, here's all the stuff that we wanted to do if we had multiple seasons, but we've only got 6 episodes left to do it. So send those predictions to captainspod@cinemasins.com or feel free to share them in the Cinemasins Discord in the Captain's Pod channel, discord.gg/cinemasins. Ambassador, this week's episode is a farewell to farms. What do you think's going to happen? Because I can't remember what you said you thought was going to happen last week. I said something about...
Did we even do it?
Yeah.
Did we do predictions last week?
Yeah,
I don't remember.
Because I said that it's going to be following the move from an agrarian society to an industrial society, and the Cerritos will be trying not to interfere, but will end up interfering. And I cannot remember what your prediction was.
I don't remember either.
Oh, no. You said that we're going to the whale farm where they milk the whales.
Oh, yes. Because I was thinking... As
Very
one would after the episode, I was thinking a lot about whales.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't see some overalls, I feel like I might quit the show.
Oh my goodness. Just, I mean, you're right. You can't put farm in the title and not have like some cool dungarees.
You have to have the you've got to.
Some farming overalls.
I'd be okay if it's not a southern boot. It doesn't, because there's lots of different work boots out there, but something that you can run around on a farm and know that nothing's going to get down in your pants from your waistline is essential.
Yeah. So Deneé's prediction is that there will be farming gear, but the episode won't necessarily take place in the Midwest. That's great. I don't need anything else. We'll see you in 10 Forward for a full debrief. 2 to beam to the holodeck. Welcome to 10 Forward, the part of the show where we grab something from the replicator and share our immediate thoughts and feelings on the episode we just watched. Most important question first. What would you like from the replicator? I don't want anything, because this episode put me off replicators completely. And food and B-plots in general. What would you like from the replicator?
Yeah. I just can't stop thinking about that, like the little squirt thing of bird poop. I don't necessarily want to eat it.
The manure thing.
But I feel like it would be kind of fun for some odd reason.
Yeah.
We are in the season of deviled eggs, so
wait, is there a season? Oh, is that a Thanksgiving thing? I was going to say, you can make them all year round. They don't have a particular season.
No, you're right. You're right. But they're on every Thanksgiving table.
Yeah.
Which, I love honestly, that seals the deal. I think that's the dish I'm going to be making for an upcoming celebration at my child's school, where they're like, you want to make something? And I'm like, what am I going to make? How many do I have to make? And it's either between sweet potato casserole or just deviled eggs. And I was thinking kids probably don't like deviled eggs as much as adults do.
Probably not.
So if I want to be like the cool mom, I think I would need to go with the sweet casserole.
Yeah, I mean, anything sweet, because you just put like a ton of brown sugar in that thing, don't you? Yeah. Yeah, that's the one that's going to win. But I'll take the deviled eggs. And they're finger food. They're so easy to grab and go. It says a lot that we're talking about Thanksgiving food instead of the episode. Give us a synopsis, Ambassador.
In this episode, we continue to follow the theme of open rifts somewhere, but we don't know it until the very end, when we realize why Mariner...
You jumped to the end of the episode. That's not the synopsis. That's the tag on the end. That's nothing to do with the episode. If you have a problem with how I do this, don't ask me anymore. We don't know until the end, and it's the true reason why Mariner and Boimler have decided to travel to Klingon territory. And it also explains why Boimler suddenly knows so much about Klingons, because he was doing a debrief for an undercover mission. But during the entire episode, I'm like, well, isn't this convenient? Isn't he just the Data of this episode? Yeah, always. Yeah, he often is. And that's the A plot, and the B plot is all about bird shit. Yeah. The end. Overall thoughts and feelings, Ambassador. Don't let my enthusiasm color your emotions. Did you like this episode? Overall thoughts and feelings. Doing a great impression of the cloacas. Were they cloacas?
The cloacans?
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 I wrote it down. Cloacas, yeah.
Oh, man. I didn't like last week's episode.
True. I think you liked it better after we talked about it. Like a little bit. So
I feel like we need to talk about it before I know how I really feel, because it seems that usually after we discuss, there's some sort of reflective insight that influences how I land. But I checked out so hard on this one. Harder, I think, than I did last week when it was about relationship dramas. And I don't know. I think part of the reason is because I don't know Birdman like maybe other people do, and I didn't find him very.
You know him just as much as us.
Okay. So I don't care about him at all. He's a fun character to kind of see, like Cat Doctor, kind of pop in and then do something and then pop out. And I know that it's often food references. And I guess the idea is that we need to see some of his backstory to validate his presence for the last 4 seasons. I disagree. I don't think we needed to know anything about where he comes from or why food is very important to them. But if this was not the final season, I think I would be like, okay, this is just a story that gives us more information about a character. No big deal. But because every second on screen to me matters about the story that they're trying to conclude, I'm once again, I had the same feeling about, was it Strain? What was it Discovery? No, was that right? It was a Discovery that we watched the final season of. And there was just a couple episodes where it really felt like they didn't know that it was ending.
It's
and
like,
you could kind of tell.
This is how you're spending your time. That's odd. That's an odd choice to make. Yeah.
And I remember discussing just wishing that there was a different process for a show where they kind of knew before they went deep into production, because I, as I did last episode, feel like we're watching something that was mostly already created and they don't want it to just not see the light of day, and or don't have time to produce something entirely new on their timeline. And so we're getting to see this. But I was thinking about many other things I would rather be doing than watching this episode while watching this episode, unfortunately. And I think it's because I wish it was about something else.
Yeah, this isn't going to be one of those episodes where I come out swinging and say, this is what I loved, and it ends up convincing you, because I'm right there with you. And it feels unfair to put extra pressure on the final season, because I think you're absolutely right. If this is like midway through the run, it's a filler episode. It's okay, we got a little bit of progression there. We got a little bit of a deeper dive into Miggly Moo. But that sucks a little bit when you're like, I don't really care too much because you've only got 6 episodes left and don't care about Miggly Moo. It doesn't help that overall Miggly Moo's been a bit of a miss for me. Like, I loved him when he first popped up, I think in season 1, I was like, oh, that's great, a bird counselor. And that's something you can do with animation that's really tricky to do in live action. And that's really fun. And the ship has a counselor, which means that we're going to get to explore some, like, the therapy side of things, like Deneé, like Deanna does on TNG. Nope, he's just a kind of goofball that often has terrible advice, unhelpful analogies, and kind of like gets, from my eyes, kind of gets therapy wrong most of the time. So I've never really been excited when he's appeared on the rare occasions that he does. He always seems to be the butt of the joke. And that just feels like an odd choice to me in Star Trek to make the therapist the butt of the joke.
Yeah. It's a struggle because I know it's the end. They don't necessarily know it's the end.
Yeah.
And I'm
trying
feeling that
not
kind
to
of
judge them for
pressure.
that. Yeah.
Exactly. So coming out of the episode going, oh, wah, it's like an extra wah because I'm not seeing what I really want to see, which is my favorite characters. Now, the Boimler and Mariner stuff was more interesting to me, but this episode is an example of when you don't care as much for the B plot, it is a distraction how they cut back and forth into it. And this one
so
felt
jarring.
really yes, it did. It felt like sometimes we'd even cut over for maybe a few lines, it seemed, or just like the next really quick beat of the B story, and it would disrupt the progress of the A story or vice versa. And it just missed it for me on the pacing as well. So whether this is quote unquote a disappointment because it's the final season and I'm looking for more or not, it still felt jarring to me the way that it was pieced together.
For me, it's still a bit of a meh episode. Like, you put this anyway, you put this in season 2 and I'm like, okay, we got to see a bit more Klingons. Okay, that's fun, cool. And that, what you mentioned about like the jarring cuts between them, I felt that the most at the very end when they kick into, actually, we're here to find out about this dimensional rift, like, and we need your help to scan it. And then they cut back to wrap up the B plot. And then we cut back and they've already scanned it and they're back with the results. And I'm like, man, I would have loved to see them do that. I would have much rather, I know you have to wrap up the B plot, but I'd much rather them see them go and scan the dimensional rift and stuff. And I know that's not what the episode is really about. It's just to carry on the subplot throughout the season. But it made me realize how much I didn't really want to be in that B plot. It didn't really do much for me at all. Like, I don't feel like, I know it gives some extra context to Miggly Moo, but it's context I didn't really need. And I think if you have a 20 episode run like you did back in the day, you get one of these filler episodes where you dive into the lower decks, the real side characters, and you give them some time in the spotlight. But it even feels weird for me to do that in a 10 episode run when you're so tight on time. So, yeah.
I think I agree. Though it may have been heavily engineering like jargon minded, I would have gone into the Rift stuff more preferably than two birds that lost their taste. I mean, that's really what the B plot is about, is Miggly Moo almost being taken off of his ship, even though that they shouldn't even have a right to take him off of the ship, because the two old birds are just not tasting flavor as well as they did. And that to me is a very loose thing. And I would much rather be watching a passionate group of people scan a rift. But in addition, even though that wasn't a lot or it was kind of a quick mention, there was a big piece of information, which is that these are not naturally occurring rifts. These are they're being made by someone or something.
Yeah, they're being artificially created.
How interesting would that have been to discover? So it's hard because as creative writers, you and I, and as people who create story with in different areas of our life, we are always thinking about possible storylines, and it's not necessarily fair to the show to come up with like all the ideas. And I don't do it intentionally going, I have a better idea. But when you have the time to think about other things because the show isn't capturing you, that part of my brain activates so much more quicker because I'm like, oh, well, what if we were at the Rift and I wonder what's happening? And the curiosity story part of my brain is just super excited all the time. There's constantly things going on up in here that are making up stories and coming up with fun storylines. It's one of the reasons I love being a DM in D&D, because there's just so much fun in that realm. But I really love a show that can like let that part of my brain take a back seat and captivate me. And this one on both sides did not captivate me. So even though I liked the Klingon story better, and I was actually kind of enjoying some of the Mariner Boimler stuff, even though Boimler is like the know-it-all, he was the highlight of this episode for me. It didn't like activate that part of my story mind that clings to a show. And so I was out so fast.
Our brains love mysteries, and we love being sucked into a mystery. It's why serialized storytelling is so popular in TV now. So you have like Game of Thrones that goes consistently one episode after another, and Lost did the same thing, and Deep Space Nine got like that towards the end. And that's why it's so tempting to make all TV like that, because it sucks us in and we have to like focus on the mystery. Episodic TV is riskier now because you've got to get start, middle, end, backstory, development, growth all into this 20 minutes. So the level of difficulty is much harder. So I really respect episodic television and storytelling like that. But that doesn't mean I'm gonna give it a rubber stamp of cool, I'm glad this was episodic and it didn't really matter too much, because it really feels like it didn't matter too much. And that's fine if I enjoyed the journey, but I didn't enjoy the journey. I don't care about like the food critics and like this is what the cloaca culture does, which seems like so far-fetched that the entire culture is based on reviewing food, but okay, cool. So I didn't connect to anything in there, and I think I respect it for being episodic, but this is just an episode that didn't connect to me.
Let's talk about I want to end on the Klingon stuff. So can we like dig into the Miglimu more specifically? I know we're kind of making generalized statements.
Yeah.
I do like that they gave some context to why this character is so intrinsically tied with food metaphors, and to learn that it's such an important part of their culture. And it led to a moment when everyone was cooking together, and I really enjoyed that scene. It reminded me a bit of Strange New Worlds, and how important it is. Like they have those sort of round the table in the captain's quarters or wherever that is, making meals together. And that felt really, I don't know, important.
Wholesome.
Yeah.
It's nice to see the crew do something collective, like something communal and bonding like that.
And the captain's like opening up the oven, and I don't know how they got an oven, but they have an oven, and taking out the big, multi-eyed fish creature and not being sure about what it looks like. But then, Miglimu is very excited about it. And it reminds me about how food and culture are so intrinsically tied together.
Yeah.
And of course, this time of the year around Thanksgiving, there's lots of food and lots of traditions and lots of things. And like with Iris's school wanting me to cook something, they're like, cook something that's like a tradition in your family. And I don't come from a tradition family based around food or dance. It's mostly just, what do you like to make? Make it every year because everybody likes to eat it. So like, there's no reason that boiled eggs is a valuable piece, or the yummy salad, the yummy potato salad. It is a potato salad and sweet potato salad are totally different things.
Totally different. Yeah. Totally different things. Yeah.
So different. And they just feel like, I don't know, it doesn't feel as interesting whenever I go to someone's house who has a very interesting looking meal that has been made by generations and generations and generations of their family. And maybe I'm intimidated by it because it has a hoof in it, but we're going to taste the soup. I liked this part of that episode because it kind of reminds you that sometimes you sit at the table with someone different and you're about to eat a fish head for the first time. And you know what? Yes, you're about to find out what an eyeball feels like when it pops in your mouth, but it's still good. It's part of it. It's part of the experience of widening your horizons and trying new things. And it was only like the tiniest little bit of this episode, but I liked that part.
Well, that like feeds back into TNG, because some of my favorite throwaway scenes, that you can call throwaway scenes because they don't always lead anywhere, are them eating. So there's the cold open where Riker is preparing eggs, and he's like making eggs for everyone. And there's Dr. Pulaski, and Worf loves the eggs, but everyone else thinks the eggs are terrible. But it's the act of him like preparing the food in front of everybody, and he makes nowhere near enough eggs for everyone. But then Pulaski is talking about the tradition of breaking bread, and Data has questions. And related to that is like the poker matches as well. Like some of the poker scenes, the conversation they have has nothing to do with the episode or like what they're really investing in. They'll talk about beards or they'll talk about bluffing, but it's them doing something together and using that to explore.
Yes.
For me, this episode, that B plot didn't explore anything with the food, really. It was just they've lost their taste buds because they're too judgmental. I was waiting for them to be like clones or something, or to be like aliens that are like taken their place, or like just something more than their over-judginess made them lose their taste buds. And that's obviously the psychological hit that Miggly Moo gets to deliver at the end. So I'm okay, fine.
Yeah, it was okay. It didn't need to hit on all those levels. I'm going to look for the silver lining. And that was it for me, is it did give us a chance to see everybody cooking together, and you get to see the assassin. She's like, assassin training, that was so cute. And I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that part. Was there anything else about the Miggly Moo stuff that you wanted to dig into, or shall we advance?
Honestly, no, I'm looking through my notes. I guess the one thing that I kind of nodded at and thought, oh, that's clever. It's the fact that at the very beginning of the episode, Miggly Moo says the whole reason that they invented warp travel was so that they could go out and experience strange new dishes and to review food and stuff.
Foods. Yeah.
Which is, I assume it's a nod to the Michelin star thing, because Michelin tires created the Michelin stars and the Michelin like food guide thing to encourage people to travel further afar to see more restaurants so that they would use more tires. So it was a backhanded way of trying to, like, just a geniusly inventive way of driving business. And it's ended up becoming this thing that restaurants actually really seek to have. So I assume it was like kind of cribbing on the Michelin star thing, I guess, but it might be a bit of a reach. That's all that I really had to say. I still think the voice actor for Miggly Moo is great. I just don't really like anything that they're doing with Miggly Moo, to be honest. And the A plot, they both feel like B plots. Yeah, let's talk about the Mandalorian. Yeah, you opened by saying, wow, this feels super Star Wars. Tell me more about that. Nope.
Didn't it feel like...
Not for me.
Okay, I was trying to remember the show, so bear with me here, but I think it was the Mandalorian, and it starts off where he's kind of like out on that farm for a while.
Yeah, I think
and it
you're
just
right.
felt very much like...
Gotcha.
Like Western set in space, which they very intentionally drew it to be very Western in space.
Yeah, Home on the Range.
Yeah. So I'm watching it. I'm like, this feels very Star Trek, and Star Wars. I'm pretty sure it was Mandalorian that was like the Western.
Yeah.
And there was even like the creature that they kind of rode on, and they had to do like the farming and stuff.
I get it. Mm-hmm. I know Deneé's brain. I know how like those connections happen. So I'll allow it.
Are you going to gently pat? Yeah. Okay, Deneé.
Well done. That's fine. I get the connection. Space things happen in space. Yes, that's fine. So we rejoin Mah, who we have seen before in Lower Decks. So he is one of the Klingon lower deckers in Wedge Douche, of one of our favorite episodes to mention that we still haven't seen. And long story short, he doesn't like how his captain is doing things and eventually gets the courage to become second in command, if I'm remembering rightly. And then he pops up in another episode later on where he's dishonored. I think it's at the end of season 4, because Nick Lacano, the person that Mariner had like kind of teamed up with for a little bit to create like his own little version of Starfleet, he's the reason that Mach has lost his command, because his crew then mutinies against him. So if you watched all of Mach's 3 or 4 episodes back to back, he has an arc that goes through all of Lower Decks. So I get coming back to him to wrap up where he is as well, and to kind of tie a bow in his story. That makes a lot of sense to be in season 5. And I really like that. The adventure itself didn't inspire me too much. And this is going to be sacrilege, but I'm not the biggest fan of Klingon episodes in TNG and Deep Space Nine. And that is my, like, throw me on an island, I'm on my own opinion. I like them fine. Some people live and die by them. They've never been, yay, it's a Klingon episode. I, like, appreciate the world building and what, like, Ronald D. Moore did during TNG and everything to build out the Klingon mythos, but they're not, like, my favorites. So I think coupling a heavy Klingon A plot with this meh food B plot, this was always going to be a tough ask for me to get on board with. How did you feel about it? This will be one of your first full Klingon episodes.
I think it does everything a Klingon episode usually does.
You're right.
But I don't know, because I'm not as well versed as everyone knows, since I'm mostly just been watching Star Trek intensely, like once a week for the last couple years with you, and we don't see Klingon focused things very often, so they feel a bit like a treat.
It might be my accidental bias.
I personally, I love Worf so much.
Yes, absolutely.
That when a Klingon episode comes up, I'm like, oh, it's a Klingon episode. Oh, I don't really relate to these people
Worf.
at all.
I like Worf, not the Klingons.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the kind of thing I've had to think as well. Yeah.
But there is this interesting thing that happens, which is that I want to learn more about Klingon culture so that I can better understand Worf and the conflict, the inner conflict that he experiences around the humans, and also just his, like, the complex, there's just so much that has to happen when your people expect you to do the same things so intensely and so warrior-esque. So I
tradition focused.
Yes, but also like very violent. So the Klingons are really fascinating to me in that way. And so each time I've seen a Klingon scene in Lower Decks, I've really enjoyed it, because Mariner has this fearlessness because she understands so much. Yeah. And she's wild, and but also her intent to attack or to just jump into the danger is something that ends up building her rapport with certain characters in the show that we got to see. And then you've got Boimler in this episode, who is the facts person, who is also the over enthusiastic person who's going to Disneyland for the first time, that kind of vibe, but like the most dangerous Disneyland ever, because he approaches these dangerous things as if it's just like his first time to ride It's a Small World. And that sort of juxtaposition was enjoyable, because again, I'm kind of related to those two watching. It's kind of a weird thing, but like, I am also fangirling about being around Klingons within the show in a strange way, but then remembering that it's not great because we're going to die.
Yep. That's fair.
But when I got yanked out with bird food, I was not happy. I wanted to stay in that world and marinate in it a little bit. But
by comparison, it's much more fun.
Where this kicked off for me, okay, it's also interesting because you got this, the character that they're trying to make a captain again for their own good, not because they're friendly, but because they have an ulterior motive.
Yes.
So he's kind of like very hesitant. He's a reluctant hero. And So it's hard to relate to Reluctant Hero unless there's a lot of backstory. So I think maybe if you had watched all of the episodes, you'd really be relating. I didn't. So it's kind of like, who is this guy? Why do I care?
Yeah.
But they obviously gave a lot of time to showing us where he's been, showing us the work he's been doing, and the farming and the mashing of the worms and the blood and all that. I really enjoyed the story building there. I could almost smell it in a weird way. Like, I don't know if have ever gone fishing with anyone in your family, but there is a smell that comes along with really moist soil and worms
and the grubs. Yeah,
I was like, okay, I can smell this moment.
One of the things I really liked was changing the opening sequence. It felt a little bit strange, but I liked the life on the Klingon prairie thing over the opening credits that gave us a glimpse into this stuff. And I like that because Klingons famously make blood wine. They make lots of food. They are consumers of indulgence. So someone's got to make that shit. So there has to be farmers. There has to be people doing all of this because I think they use replicators to make guns and that's it. But they want their food live. So I love that glimpse into, this is what Klingon farmers do. And that's honorable to do this. It may not be like the top most honorable thing, but there's still Klingons that do it. Yeah.
But it was a bit, because the main guy is Reluctant Hero, I was a bit reluctant as well because my motivation was Mariner has inserted herself into someone else's life once again and is forcing them to do something that they don't want to do again. And
and if there was communication, we would have got to this point much quicker. Once again, if he just spoke up and said, I don't want to be a fucking captain. I'm happy on my farm. Here's the issues. We could have saved a lot of pain sticks and torment.
But there's this one particular scene that finally I was like, yeah.
Oh, let's go.
Here's my notes.
Yeah. What the fuck?
It was the Klingon battle when the two of them are really actually going at it. I was so excited because they're just like, they really started attacking each other. And I believed it. I believed the passion.
Yeah.
I believed like the intensity. I believed all of the frustration that had been venting, the history that they had done a good job of kind of like mentioning. I mean, they mentioned it multiple times. Our guy killed that guy's brother.
Yes.
And there's a history there, So there's all of this sort of like, I don't know, reluctant tension that is suddenly boiling over into now I have to, attack this person. The getting to the battle, I was like, whatever. They have a secret conversation about some 300-year-old code, and suddenly our reluctant hero is going to welcome the dead guy's brother that's in charge and hates him and is changing all the rules. The council leader, whatever. Now he's part of their crew. That guy didn't have a choice because he was sleeping, apparently. And then there's all this stuff is just a very confused, whatever the fuck mess. And I'm like, whatever. But then they start fighting, and I'm like,
let's go.
Like, when do we get to see something this intense? When do we get to see something like where they're really going, and I guess in the movies, but I was just like typing, kill, kill, kill. Because they were really trying to kill each other.
Yeah, they were going for it. It's really cathartic to see him come into his power. So he's like, okay, fine. I've been like reluctantly doing this, but now I have like a motivation. I have like, this is a big vent for him to explode all of his Klingon rage. And it feels righteous because we may sin it, but we love a loophole as well. Like the loophole is he has to kill a member of his crew and he's got the right of conscription, and he's like forcibly conscripted him onto his crew, which means he can kill him in an honorable way. And yeah, I completely agree. It's really satisfying from that point.
It was so fun.
Onwards, basically from when he admits to Mariner, I don't want to be a captain in this asshole's fleet. I don't think he's honorable. Like from that bit onwards, I was like, oh, I get it. Like that felt satisfying from there onwards, and it works. But you're right. The reluctant hero bit all the way up to that kind of steps on the pain sticks, the Targ wrestling stuff. Because I'm like, this would be fun if he was into it. And now I'm just watching Boimler get beat up.
It was like, I do believe though, that he was going to go through whatever steps he had to take to get Mariner to stop calling his ass. Yeah, I believe that. Because even their entire opening where he's constantly chucking his communicator off, and just stabbing things because he does not want to talk to Mariner because he does not
shouting off screen. Like, I'm not here. Stop it. I'm not listening. Go away.
And then she shows up in his life and he's thinking, okay, I will go do this stupid thing to get you off of my ass. Like, I'd have nothing else to do until I go back to the farm and, take care of my stuff. So he reluctantly realizes options. She accidentals her way out of death and into where they need to be to find this rift. But that battle was like the culmination of watching a Klingon realize their power, realize their potential, realize their options, and embrace their culture, take back control in this really great moment. And I was surprised to see our reluctant captain be stabbed. And I was, oh my God, that happened. And now he has a reason to kill the guy.
Yes.
And so we get to do all of the things. And
you get some purple Klingon blood, which is confusing as heck.
It was delightful. It was very pinkish. It was very magenta.
It's Pepto-Bismol. It's the Star Trek 6 Klingon blood that only appears in Star Trek 6 and Lower Decks.
But so that's what's going on. We could go deeper here. There's so much to answer your question, I liked it. I like this part. And I love the moment when Boimler's like, he's so fucking into it. And usually he's not really into it. And Mariner calls him out and says, why are you just so suddenly okay with this? What's going on here?
You're afraid of skiing.
And Boimler, and his bravery is in his new mustache.
Yes. Is that what we're calling it?
There was a moment when he smiles and the mustache curls upwards and like a little miniature smile just underneath his nose. And it was so funny to me. Animators get to have so much fun with facial hair.
They really do. Yeah. Especially this type of animation.
He runs and he like just jumps onto that woolly creature at one point, turns around, like, hey! It was stupid
when
and
he's
funny.
on the back of the tower, he's like, eh?
Yes.
And then gets like galloped away. No, that did make me laugh. It was refreshing to have Boimler not be terrified, not be screaming. Like, he's actually in this and enjoying it because he's going through a Klingon phase. And it fit in because, and I think that was smart because you can get a bit tired of this. Like, how Boimler is going to react. So making him act differently in this episode and kind of be one with the Klingons, it's like kind of growth as well. And it's like believable growth. Like, I get it. I like it. It was fun.
I think Boimler saw himself and realized, and this is something we all can do, by the way. I mean, we might not be able to actually come face to face with the future of ourselves in physical form like Boimler did. But he came face to face with himself and decided, oh, if I want to be that person, I have to start being that person today.
Yeah.
And that's a really cool thing. And I loved that first episode and us kind of talking about the deeper meanings there. I still think about like looking in the mirror. It's such a important part of what we can do as humans is kind of go, what if I want to be this person, if I think, oh, I wish I could be like that person, what stops you, from being, and maybe it's just having brave conversations. And for Boimler, he had a brave conversation with himself and was like, you know what, that means that I'm going to have to be okay with doing things that are dangerous and experiencing those things. And he jumped right in with his over enthusiastic, fact-based conversations. What did the Klingon say? Why is he talking so much? Or this puny human talk.
This human is full of
so
words.
Many words. Full of words.
This human is full of words.
Full of words. So true.
Great. But I love at the end when like Boimler faces him and he's like, stop being such a cock. And it's clearly meant to be stop being such a cock. But they just turned it Klingon. I love that.
It's and really
funny. Just like, whoa, you're going to get yourself killed. What are you doing? So yeah, Boimler in this episode was fun, but also believably fun. It didn't feel out of character for me. I did like what he was doing. And I kind of like Mariner taking a little bit of a back seat because it doesn't make sense to have two of those people being recklessly like, let's go, chud each, woo! Like she kind of, they made sure that Mariner let Boimler do that crazy stuff and she was the more level-headed one. So they got the balance between them pretty spot on for me. I think so I too. That. Yeah.
And Boimler's idea to distribute the electricity was what kept them alive. And
very smart.
So I think that whole section worked for me. I like it more when I don't have to cut away from it and can live in it a little bit longer. And I really wish that the B plot was either rift based or something, but it is what it is.
Well, and I think they could have like broken format completely and just gone with A plot. Like, just if you're dedicating the opening sequence to the Klingon farm, I was almost expecting there to not be a cutaway to the Cerritos at all, and just have this as a full Klingon episode.
Yeah. And there's so many beats in there that worked for me. The reluctant captain having a brother that actually was very handy.
Like a dude bro as well.
Dude bro Klingon.
So great.
I'm so happy to hear dude. I mean, it was a little jarring, but at the same time, I thought that it was appropriate.
How did you get it so deep? And you're like, I don't know,
man. But he was really delightful. He definitely grew on me. The moment when they wrangle the beast, he has the idea, it works. And then the council leader who is attempting to, make everything impossible to pass, he gives them immediately more things they have to do. One of them being anal gland expression.
It's so great. It's so funny.
Just immediately the brother's like, oh, great, I've done that 1,000 times. Just without missing a beat. That worked for me too. Trimming the nails and expressing the glands. He's been on a farm. So there's just certain things that, of course, are not going to be a big deal in that regard. So all of that stuff, there was some really good humor beats for me that worked, and I really enjoyed it. I mean, I did check out just a bit because the characters were sort of checked out, because in those beginning parts, everyone was sort of had an ulterior motive. Like, our crew knew what was really going on, and the captain wasn't really into it. So I wasn't into it, and I wasn't into what we were cutting away to with the food stuff. So I got work done. I mean, I was sending emails.
Never a good sign.
I checked my bank account just to make sure that a bill got paid. I thought about whether or not I put in the wrong amount of coffee grounds because my coffee is super strong today.
Yeah. That explains your notes.
Yeah.
Kill.
No. That was just pure delight. Kill. It was very Klingon. I loved it. But anyway.
That's amazing. Well, I think that about covers all of it. What it helped me remember is that I think we really like exploring Klingons through Worf more than we like exploring Klingons. And that's something that I hadn't really articulated in my brain, because I was like, what is it that brings me to the Klingon episodes? And it is whenever Worf is the one that has to explain it and lead the way. The Klingon episodes without Worf, they switch me off a little bit. So it's not a default recipe for success, but this still did a good enough job for me. Like, looking back, I especially enjoy the back half of it rather than the first half, and it does serve the function of like hitting the Klingon episode beats as well, like investigating a Klingon tradition that they have to see through the beginning to the end, and the Starfleet officers being the fish out of water that have to experience this with the authentic Klingons. Like, that's and ending in a bloodbath, that's very much Klingon episode as well. That's very on brand. So it served its function of being an homage to Klingon episodes pretty well. In terms of references, actually, this isn't a reference at all, but I just loved the Klingon band that's in the bar at the beginning. Like, there's a guy playing a thrash lute, which, if you're going to thrash out anything, like, a thrash lute is amazing, like a thrash piccolo. Like, it's the most unthrash metal instrument I could think of. So that just made me laugh. His lady friend person, I believe, is voiced by, from what I could see on IMDb, Mary Shifo. And I really, really like Mary Shifo. She's great. She plays a Klingon in the first season of Discovery and does an incredible job. She's really, really great. So I love the voice actors that they're pulling in. Sam Witwer plays the brother that we were just talking about, the dude bro brother, and he's voiced
the dude bro Klingon.
Tons of stuff in the Star Wars universe. He voices Darth Maul, I think, in Clone Wars.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he is like a rampant Star Wars voice actor, so it's cool to like pull his voice talent in as well. Mariner mentions the boob windows, which I don't know if boob windows has ever been canonically mentioned on screen, but it's infamous. It's the Klingon female uniform that always has the cutout to show the inner side boob.
As they should.
So it's just fun to see Mariner reference something that the fans have dubbed, but I don't think we've ever seen it mentioned on screen.
I mean, do they need to breathe? Do they have is that like gills or something?
No, I think it's just look at me. Like, I think it's genuinely just look at me, look at my boobage virility. I don't know. It's a warrior.
Potentially great
Klingon
war
thing.
tactic.
Yeah, I guess it's a distraction method, isn't it?
Yeah, no eyes up here. Put them here so I can kill you faster.
My back left is over here. My boobs are here, but you're not seeing the back left. Yep. What else did I have? It's always fun to see General Coring come back. It's funny because we just watched. That's one of the episodes that we watched in our pre-season build-up as we were going through season 1 of Lower Decks. Yeah, I think that's all. I'm sure there's some homages that I missed. I guess the pain sticks are the other thing. Like the Klingons lining up as they are with the pain sticks and stabbing them is like a direct homage to the Icarus factor, which is, I think, the first time we see pain sticks. And Worf is miserable because it's the anniversary of his rite of ascension and he's surrounded by humans instead of Klingons. Wesley finds out that it's the anniversary, creates a holodeck program, and they all have to watch Worf go through this pain stick ritual where they gradually get more and more and more and more intense. And yeah. It's just literally copy and paste that part of the trial into this, whatever this trial was called. I think that's
it. Was called the pain stick trial.
No, I can't remember what the actual ritual thing they were talking about.
Like Worf's ritual?
No, the in this episode it was the rite of getting your captaincy back or something.
Oh yeah, rites of unending pain.
There we go. Yeah, so that he can get his captainhood back. Well, with that, Ambassador, let's do some pips. Overall pippage. 1.5. This is going to be Lieutenant Junior grade for me. It's 1.5. I just... nah. With that, let's head over to engineering to do some sins. 2 to beam out.
Warning. Warp core collapse in 10 seconds.
Red alarm. Red alarm.
This is the part of the show where we re-engage our sin brains, remind ourselves that no TV shows without sin, even our beloved Star Trek. I've got some fun ones for this.
Good.
I did want to open with the return of lighting that pisses me off. So they have got to stop putting in these throwaway lines. Last week, it was the sun makes sure that each individual person, the artificial sun, makes sure that everyone there is individually tanned to the right amount and doesn't get over tanned. Now, Captain Freeman is like the fluorescent lighting is designed to be the perfect level of lighting for everybody. That's not possible! You can't unless you have an individual spotlight above each. How can it be the same for everybody? It isn't. Like, I think Betazoids like it darker and like the Klingons like it brighter. How, if everybody has different needs, how are the fluorescent lights in the mess hall being perfect for everybody?
Because it's a simulation.
Everything's a simulation. This is like, I hope they revisit this because this is like these throwaway lines about lighting being perfectly designed. It is just baffling me. It's not possible, Deneé.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, man. I guess maybe everybody has some sort of like a implant that adjusts their eyes or something.
Yeah,
like it has to be something that would be individually in the person. It can't be a computer thing.
It's not what she says, though. It's not what she says. Your turn.
Once again, it is weird for me to sin this show, so I'm going to go to the chat and steal the chat sins.
Go for it.
Okay. This is it for me. This is the number 1 from Wandering who says sin. Episode did not contain dog.
That's fair. Will we see the return of dog? We need it.
No, I mean, maybe in the final episode, if they had enough time to create the last episode, knowing that it was the last episode of the whole thing, we might see just like a Muppets Go to Manhattan version of everyone showing up.
Dog ex machina. Dog comes in to save the day. I've got a classic, very specific Klingon ritual exists that solves the specific problem of the episode. Not once, but twice. There is a very specific ritual that will help him get his captaincy back. And there is also a very specific ritual that will get him out of having to kill himself or one of our main characters. It's
not a known one either.
No, it's like buried, but
it's buried enough that they don't remember, but Boimler knows because of his research.
Well, and that's the sin as well. Boimler knows more about Klingon rituals than the Klingons do. But yeah, it's such a tropey thing. Like there was never any concern anything else was going to go wrong because you just invent a ritual that's going to save the day. That's fine. The Klingons have a tradition for it.
Here's a sin from Flyboy: performative fainting.
It's fair. This one made me chuckle. It's when the cloacas arrive on the ship and they're moaning about the environment, and they're like, "Oh, you don't even hoover the carpet, or you don't even vacuum the carpets." And they've arrived in a room that doesn't have carpets, Deneé. There's no carpets in there, so why would you hoover a carpet when it doesn't exist?
Because the audience at home wants to laugh at carpeted spaceships.
Carpeted transporter rooms. Some of it might be carpeted, but the transporter room is not. Okay.
Here's a sin from J.A. Sin, Klingon leader is consumed by personal bias and is undone by honor rules. Like always.
Exactly. It's amazing how many Klingon leaders aren't actually honorable. Boimler knows everything about the rituals, but didn't realize they needed 4 people for this one somehow. Because they have to rope in the brother last
That's
second, and Boimler wasn't prepared.
It's a good thing they did too, right?
Yeah, be omniscient or omnipotent or not at all.
Here's a sin off from Mud of an Opossum.
Love that. Love the picture as well.
Sin removal for the massive Targ being a good boy at the end.
He's such a good boy.
I knew as soon as I saw that creature that there was going to be like some comfort with the brother, because the miniature version of those creatures were what were on the farm. So
Targs are great.
it was kind of good to see him back on the farm, because that means he wasn't being kept to battle.
Yeah. The saddest part of Star Trek 3 is when that Targ dies. It's not fair.
Do you need a minute?
Rest in peace, Doc Brown's Targ. Okay. I'm happy to be wrong on this one. However, he has to choose a member of his crew to sacrifice, and there's a couple of reasons why that doesn't make sense. He's not choosing a member of his crew. Yes, he is a member of his crew, but the spirit of this is to, like, part of command is that you have to send somebody to their death. Like, Deanna has to experience this when she takes her commander's exam. She has to send holographic Geordie to his death, and she struggles with that part of the test because she's got to look him in the face and say, go into that vent, fix the problem, get vaporized. And like, that's the part of the command thing. And his cop-out of I choose myself also doesn't make sense, because the whole point is that he's passing the ritual. You can't pass the ritual and be captain again if you die. And I know at that point he is fine dying because he doesn't want to be captain, but it's a stupid loophole that that shouldn't be part of the ritual. It's so it just baffled my brain. Tied me up in a knot, Deneé.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
I don't have any more sins to mention.
Nope, I think that's pretty much everything that I had. Lower Decks is fun as always and difficult to sin because it sins itself so very much. Next week's episode is called Starbase 80 ?
Oh.
I love the question mark at the end. What is going to happen next week, Ambassador?
Why would it have a question mark? Maybe Mariner's mom, who saw a version of herself that had been taken to Starbase 80, she can't handle it anymore. So she decides to go to Starbase 80 to find out why she would have had to have gone to Starbase 80. Maybe she can't handle it.
I wonder if the Freeman that is stuck on Starbase 80 is creating dimensional rifts so that she can escape to a universe where she isn't stuck at Starbase 80. And that creates a hole, which means 100 Starbase 80s appear simultaneously. And they're faced with lots and lots and lots and lots of different Starbase 80s, and they have to get them back into their right places, and maybe they end up meeting a ton of different Freemans.
So Winder has one, or Wandering has one. Prediction: they go to Starbase 80, but while there, realize they're in an alternate reality.
Oh, they never returned to their
they
reality.
Never maybe actually returned. Yeah. So maybe
interesting.
it's like something. Maybe somebody on the ship, the other one is still on the other side and trying to create rifts, but the rift was there before they went through anyway.
Yeah,
so.
but time travel. Like, it could just be a rift that it appears through time.
Nick says, what if it's a clip show of all the different universes, Starbase 80s, and how they interact?
You said clip show and I switched off.
This is chaos.
Yeah, pure chaos.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's just some questions about what Starbase 80 is. And so if they're really trying to kind of go in and answer some questions, that's a fun thing to do. So
Yeah, I'm not surprised we're getting a Starbase 80 episode. It's been sprinkled throughout all 5 seasons of Lower Decks. So yeah, it's about time we get there. So yeah, the question mark is very, very interesting. With that, thank you for listening, everyone. We hope you're enjoying the show and Lower Decks. If you want to reach out to us with anything, send us an email to captainspod@cinemasins.com or join our lovely community on the Captain's... Join our lovely community on the Cinemasins Discord. We have a Captain's Pod channel where, I forgot to tell you this, Deneé, the last few days, I can't remember who to give credit to. Somebody in the live chat will tell me by the time I finish this sentence. But they just sent a little thing that says, pick a favorite Star Trek quote, but replace one word with sausage. And I'm not kidding. Like, sometimes these things happen for an hour and then disappear. 3 days solid now, there has been every quote you can think of with one word replaced with sausage.
That makes so much sense because usually every week when we go live, someone says Moopsie versus something, and there was a Moopsie versus sausage, and I was like, what the fuck is that about?
That explains it. Yeah, Paulie shared this in the Captain's Pod channel on the Cinemasins Discord. My favourite has been the sausage must be drawn here, this far, no sausage.
Well, there's obviously to boldly go where no sausage has gone before, right? Like that's the clear.
So, space, the final sausage, the final frontier. There are so many fun ones. I highly recommend joining just to read about all of the sausages. It's great.
Amazing. Yeah, if there's no other reason to join our fan group, it's just to read the sausage quotes.
It really is. In next week's outtakes, I'll read out some of my favorites. Well, with that, we'll see you next week, everyone. Until then, oh no, I've lost my quote. Until then, I'm Captain Ian, and your presence is a burden. Leave.
And it's get over here and clutch me, you sausage.
Live long and Podsper.
Thanks for listening. Want to connect with the show? Our hailing frequencies are always open through captainspod@cinemasins.com. Like, comment, and subscribe on your podcast player of choice, and be sure to visit cinemasins.com.
Pam 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 pam. Yeah.
The dogs just started barking outside.
Yeah, I bet they did. Because you started barking.
I didn't start barking.
That
I
is-
was just
that's human barking.
I was stretched squealing.
I did actually release last week the intro with you beatboxing in the background as well in the outtakes.
I didn't beatbox. I was singing.
Well,
there's difference.
The same thing happened this week, and I turned you down. So I don't know what you were doing this week either, because you start doing it as soon as I'm reading. So I just like turn you down. So I'll find out in the outtakes what you were doing this week to distract me.
Okay, I'm so sorry, everyone. I am so sorry.
Captain's Pod, Stardate 1710 84.1. Welcome aboard the Starship Enterprise, and thank you for joining us as we take a brief short leave from the world of Cinemasins to explore the universe of Star Trek. I'm your Captain Ian Whittington, and with me as always, she knows an icosahedron when she sees one.
Didn't you make Google, instead of activating with Google, you activate with computer?
Oh, no, I want to, but you can't.
Oh, okay. You can't.
Change it. It has to be HEY Google. It can't be computer. I can get it to call me Captain, though. So if I ask it to do something, it will say, yes, Captain. Because hey definitely like begins the trigger.
Oh, yeah.
And if anything is close, like oodle, oogle.
Or the word Deneé.
Oople, hey, Deneé?
No, if you say
work.
Deneé, it sounds like hey.
Oh, because Deneé sounds nothing like Google. What are you talking about?
Thank you. That's true.
What rhymes with Google? Deneé. First thing I thought of. This would be fun. Would be hilarious if they also made it so if you change the accent that it would also use the slang from that country. I hope we get to a point where our personal home assistants are using slang with us. That would be amazing. Stick the kettle on. I don't know why it's telling me to stick the kettle on, actually.
Yeah, accents are fun.
Yeah. I mean, I would just have mine in Klingon and it would just swear at me. The date is
Is that an accent or is that a language?
It's both. Klingonese is the language. I'm not kidding. That's what they called it in TOS, Klingonese. And yeah, Klingons. Yeah,
I guess if it's like,
it's an accent.
if the computer ran it through a filter where instead of, so, it responds to you with the question you ask, how many, I don't even know. Just what do you usually ask? Like a math equation. What's 2 + 2? And it would be like,
Often asking that.
you've asked for 4. Or just something like really aggressive.
Yeah.
Because it puts it through the Klingon filter. Or, you imbecile, it's 4.
I answer you with honor. It is 4. Like the amount of hearts I have punctured today, it is 4.
That would get really annoying.
It really would. But I think it's that staccato is the accent for Klingons.
Yeah. That would be really, really frustrating in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's like whenever you go to a recipe and then they tell you their life story before they get to the recipe.
Yeah.
And it's really annoying until you find the button at the top that says jump to recipe. It's really, really small.
I first started this recipe when I was hungry, but I thought that I was hungry for pizza, but I wasn't really hungry for pizza. So I made lasagna, and this lasagna recipe led me to soup. And this is how I made that soup that my grandmother made. Just give me the fucking recipe. Have released a Star Trek cookbook from Voyager. So it's written by Neelix, with like a forward by Neelix. Oh my God,
that's really funny.
He's on the front, and it's all of the recipes that he mentions throughout Voyager, plus some extra ones. And they'll like sub out ingredients cleverly that look similar. But they were really bad recipes. They were really bad recipes. I bought it from my mum. And she's just like, I can't really make any of this. Like, I don't think any of this is going to come out great. I think that's right. I think that's the word, epicist.
The epicist.
Epicist. That's right. Isn't it weird that some est words aren't actually words? Epicist.
I'm sorry.
Like, that's the most, it should be the most epic. But like, sweetest is fine. But epicist, I think, is not an actual word. And we shouldn't be so judgmental about what gets an EST and what needs them most.
Yeah, you think about it like that. That probably wasn't on Webster's mind when he was imprisoned or whatever.
Wait, did he write the dictionary in prison?
Someone did.
Someone had to be in prison when they wrote the dictionary. That's the only way that you would write the dictionary is if you were sinfully bored in prison.
While incarcerated, Miner became an important contributor to the Oxford English Dictionary. He was one of the project's most effective volunteers, reading through the largest personal library of antiquarian books and compiling quotations that illustrated how particular words were used. So yes, William Chester Miner was one of the largest contributors to the Oxford Dictionary while he was in prison. The more you know. Okay, who's Targ?
Targ is the name of the boar-looking things, the Klingon boars, dogs.
Oh, Moopsie.
Moopsie wins. Yeah. That's
so much bone on that thing. We need Deneé and Ian to write an episode of Lower Decks.
We would be able to do it once, I think, and it would take a lot of our creative energy. I don't think we could do a full season. Like, these people have to do so much work goes into making a season of TV.
First of all, we would have maybe 2 hours a week to spend on it, and it would take us a year.
Yeah, exactly. We'd get through Lord of the Rings quicker. I did like this as well. I didn't mention it I forgot to mention it in the episode. Nice touch having a bird species with a utensil that pre-chews the food. Like, that was kind of funny, like how, but then that's like how they feed their kids. That's not how adult birds eat. Like, I get it, but I don't think that joke works.
I didn't think that they were pre-eating it, but now I can see that it might be a nod to that. I actually wondered if the utensils were somehow tainting the food.
Oh, interesting.
Because it's obvious that they have something wrong with their palate. That's an obvious thing.
I would also, if this is just a thing that they have to do, they have to pre-chew the food. Why are you presenting the food at all? Just blend it. Put all of it in a blender if that's how it ends up in your mouth.
Question. Is blood wine made from worms?
Only
it seems
in the,
like this would say so.
Yeah, only in the Chateau region of France, whatever it is.
It's like a
Champagne
version.
Region, yeah.
Maybe blood wine might be made by different creatures, and this is the worm version. We
didn't know until now, but I guess it's the fermented blood of worms. Like, that makes a lot of sense. I could buy that. So yeah, I love that. I love this. Mike McMahon was like, it's been 60 years, guys. Can I finally explain where blood wine comes from? And they're just like, yep, you got this. I did like this as well. Sin removal at the end of the credits during the created by Mike McMahon credit. The communicator glints in the light as it's thrown, mirroring the burst of light in the distance when the Cerritos goes to warp at the end of the regular credit sequence. Very nice touch. Yeah, that was very, very cool. I like that. Was the intro a reference to anything specific? The only thing I could think of was the
Mandalorian.
No. Was the opening to Insurrection, where they do this slow pan over the Baku and their farming agricultural apparatus, which is, you've actually seen this movie, Deneé. That's the opening where like Data is invisible and he pulls his helmet off and goes on a rampage. But the opening to that is just long sweeping shots of their agricultural lifestyle. It reminded me of that.
When are you going to release your notes for the episodes you watched? Do you want me to?
Deneé, do it. Release them.
I know I talked about it before, but
make it a Patreon extra.
Something I have to do is to remember to save it, because what I do is once I've made my point, I delete it so that whenever I'm glancing through my notes as the show goes on, I'm just looking at what's remaining, and I would have to remember to do that step of saving it so I could go back to it. It's not impossible for me to do that, though.
Yours would be way more interesting than mine. For sure.
I doubt it.
No, 100%. Mine's just like shout it. I list the references and that's it. And then the plot points. It's not very... I mean, I will occasionally scream when they fuck with lighting in a way that I don't agree with.
Okay, there you go, guys. It is live on the Star Trek Spoilers sub channel on Captain's Pod.
Nice.
I don't know if you actually are going to be interested any longer after looking at the mayhem of it, but there you go.
I love that. Well done.
Thank you for asking. Oh, I'll give you an animal story. You want an animal story? How about the cat that loves me so much he's decided to come and sleep in my room and back up his nasty, crusty, dusty kitty cat butthole right on my face while I'm sleeping.
Crusty butthole. Does
when
he?
You're sleeping and the cat wakes you with ass and face backed into me.
Yeah, he loves
and
you.
Then curled up on my pillow, but didn't like remove his butt. And so all this is happening while I'm waking up. You think the worst.
Yeah, that's
You think about the bird he just killed a couple of days ago and whether that's going to be like slowly leaking out of his butt.
That's adorable, though. He loves you, clearly.
He is really loving me. And right now, do you want to know where he is right now?
I believe that he is in your bathroom.
He is. How do you know?
The way that you asked the question made me think of like, it's one of the weird places in the house. So it's not his usual sleeping places. So I'm going to guess bathroom.
Yeah. He's in the bathroom and he has
in the sink.
No, honestly, this is my fault. Yeah. I had a big pile of laundry that's clean, but needs to be put away. And it's on this like little bench that I have in there. And he jumped on it, pulled all of it onto the floor, and has made a nest. And he is in the nest of my clothes on the floor.
Smells like you and it's warm.
Not this time. I know it does. It smells like me because I haven't washed that robe in a minute.
Yeah.
Sin removal. Deneé remembered a small detail from earlier in the season.
Yay!
Which detail is
that? Pat. She's forgotten it already. Don't worry. It's gone. The moment has passed. You shall not sausage.